thank you for staying here and not leaving on me, because this is probably far off what you guys would like to know about. But one of my hobbies is lasers, desktop lasers. I actually have 3 of them now. And besides being able to do custom engraving for people, where this is the first hobby I ever had where it actually is helping pay for itself, because I charge for custom engraving. So anyway, laser is not just for making pretty cutting boards and plaques and signs and stuff. It can actually be used for ham radio projects. There's my bio. I've been an amateur, or I had an amateur license since 2014. In 3 months I went from a no license to an extra class, because I taught electronics for 5 years, so I just had to learn the rules and regulations. It made it a lot easier. As you see, my list of laser purchases, and the bottom line here, hobby poor. That's really not an understatement. That's really true. I am hobby poor because I have so many different hobbies. One of the things you can do with a laser is make a wooden front panel for an old radio, and the panel's all messed up or something, or you're creating your own radio. I use Baltic birch plywood, 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter for my work, and you can use a laser to design the panel layout and cut the holes. And if you get a laser, one thing you'll find is they're pretty accurate on making holes. For example, I drill holes or cut holes in wood for some lady I make clock cutouts for, and it needs to be 8 millimeters, and when I cut it, it's 8 millimeters. It's not 8.2 or 7.6, it's 8 millimeters. So lasers are precision cutting tools. On the materials for the laser, you can get the right kind of laser, you can do anything. The lasers I use are all blue light, visible light diode lasers. And those lasers are normally organic, for cutting organic or treating organic materials. Lasers, you cannot cut metal with a laser, but and most metals you cannot mark them either, except stainless, because stainless has a very low conductivity. It will anneal is the word I want to use. You can make it change color. You can't really engrave it, but you can mark it. But other metals like aluminum, the conductivity is so high that you can't get enough heat with a visible light laser to mark them. Lasers, you can buy small and then extend them, or you can buy big and extend them even more. But most of the lasers I have, 2 of my 3 lasers have approximately 15 inch by 15 inch work area. These are the 2 designs that you will see on lasers. There is one other one, but I recommend you not purchase it. It's one that looks like a T shape. It'll have a frame, and then it'll have an arm sticking out, and that arm is just hanging out over midair. That one I recommend. That's on really budget cost lasers, and I recommend you don't get them. The one I do recommend is this one right here with a full frame. It has what we call a gantry, which is a crossbar, and then the trolley is what the laser itself moves on. It moves back and forth across the gantry. And that's an XY position laser. And these lasers, because of the frame, they're reasonably stable and fairly accurate. You can go up to 70 watts on some lasers. You know, the desktop lasers, you can get them up to 70 watts, which is pretty impressive these days. My maximum laser power I have is a 40 watt. I have one that's 20 watt, 40 watt switchable on the laser itself. You can earn a pretty good price range on these. Now, I'm talking about desktop or hobby class lasers. If you want to invest in laser and start a business, then you can pay a lot more for them. The T-frame is the one I said don't ever get. One thing you have to factor in, and this is right here, this line. Can y'all see that doing it? Okay. On this line right here, prices do not enclose the ducting or enclosures. Laser is basically a fire starter. It burns things. That's how it makes its mark. Laser has two colors, burned and not burned. When you burn something like wood, you're going to get smoke. Well, you don't want to fill your house with smoke. So you either use a filter like a carbon filter system, which most of them don't work very well after you use them very long. And the other alternative is to put it in a box or a cover or something and vent it outdoors. And that's the way I did mine. And this bottom line's important. Lasers should never be unattended. When it's running, it's a perfect fire starter. You can burn your house down. Other types of lasers are CO2 laser, which is fairly common. Those are actually you can get them in about the $800, $900 price range now. The fiber laser is the ones, if you ever see a laser that is sweeping real fast, and it'll sweep across and it'll do it again, or going this way or that, moving very, very fast. That's called a fiber laser, and it uses or galvo, and those lasers use mirrors instead of a traveling head. They have the fixed beam, and then mirrors point the beam around. Unfortunately, they have a very limited work area. Usually 6 to 8 inches is the maximum area you can work in. Infrared is a recent addition to lasers. Right now, I think I saw one was a 5-watt laser, but infrared, you can mark metal with that, because infrared is basically heat, just like an IR lamp. Software. Product called Laser Gerbil. That was the first one I've used. If you buy X-Tool machines, there's an XCS software, but that's only for X-Tool. And I recommend you don't buy X-Tool. I don't usually diss anybody's product, but X-Tool does not play well with anybody else. If you have any problems, if you're not using their software, they don't care. They won't even help you at all. Another one I have not used, but it's free, and that's 2K Studio, and it allows you to control the machine. And then the paid version, Lightburn. This is the leader in the industry for laser software, and I'm also very strong or very active on their forum. The forum is user supported, not so much Lightburn's staff supported, but you can get any problem solved, and sometimes they'll help you even if it's not a Lightburn problem. They talk hardware, home built machines, everything. If you ever get a chance to go on the Lightburn forum, you'll see what a forum really should be like with the other places that have them. Lightburn allows up to 3 computers to have the software installed. And then once you buy it, it's a perpetual license, a forever license. They have a renewal fee, which is approximately half of the cost of the software, and that renewal fee is for upgrades. They have additions, upgrades, not patches to fix the software, but actual upgrades. And that's what you'll be paying for if you pay the renewal fee. Connections. USB is the most common. It's fairly reliable. It's distance limited. USB 2.0 standard, I believe, is maximum 15 feet. We recommend 10 feet because lasers are computers, and computers are sensitive to noise and glitches and stuff, so 10 feet is a much more reliable distance. And all the lasers out there that I know of are USB 2.0 protocol. You can extend the distance of USB by using a powered extender. That's one way to do it. And another is, I believe, you can use a USB to Ethernet box and put a Ethernet to USB box on the other end so you can run a wired distance. Wi-Fi, never very good. Even on a good day, it's not very good. And Wi-Fi, if you have a Wi-Fi app on your phone or tablet and look at Wi-Fi signals, you see those signals jumping up and dropping down all the way to 0. And that's why if you're streaming or sending something to the computer, to the laser, it's going full blast and you get a dropout, you lose your connection, and the computer says, or the laser says, oops, can't go any farther, we're done. We dropped the connection. So Wi-Fi is just a bad choice altogether. Ethernet is the most reliable. That's like just regular networking. If your laser will support Ethernet, then that's the best way to go. Most of the diode lasers do not support Ethernet. Here's a list of web links to get the different software. Lightburn is one that I use. I'm very active on the forum, and because of that, they allowed me to convert my core license, which is for diode or gerbil controlled lasers, convert it from a core license to a pro license, which supports all the other type of controllers they support. Ruida is one that's very popular. Those are higher price machine controllers. In the Lightburn forum, like I said, go check out this forum. Even if you don't plan on getting a laser, just check it out and read it a little bit. Laser Gerbil is free. TECHCON is free, which I have not used. And boxes.py. That's a location where you can design just about any kind of wooden box. And you can design it like the ones I use a dovetail system. It's not dovetail, it's finger joint system to put the boxes together. You cut out the pieces, you assemble the box and put a lid on it. If we have time here today, I'll pull a box out of the suitcase and show it to you. Actually, I made one, and it's what they call an electronics project box. This is my setup. The third laser you do not see in this picture. What we have here is this is a 10-watt laser. And this one, when I originally built it, I put it on a cart, a different cart, a shop cart that was plastic, and it was, it was on a plastic cart, and I had it this box sitting on a board, and I could tilt the board up, laser and all, and use underneath the cart because it had a storage section about this deep. Then when I moved this built the table here, which got some control switches and 120 volt wiring and some outlets back in the back, I said, well, why build another box? So I just set that box on there. And then I got the new laser, which is the big one over here. This is 20 or 40 watt and 20 watt switchable. I got that one, and I thought, well, if I need to stick stuff in there that's longer than the laser, I'm going to be running into this box over here. So I set this box up on stands, so now it's got a pass-through underneath. So if I want to laser a board, software, Lightburn software has a feature called print and cut. And that allows you to cut or burn a section and then move it over and burn the next section and get very good alignment on it. So I can put stuff in there bigger than this machine could normally cut, and cut or mark or cut bigger boards. And then this toy over here is my CNC mill, which was my first laser. This is a I can't think of the name of it now, company. Anyway, they sold the laser, and they had the 3018 Pro, and you could get a 5-watt laser module with it. That module, you take the motor out, spin the motor out, put the laser in, and now you have a desktop laser instead of a desktop CNC machine. But that got to be a pain in the butt. I had some problem with the laser modules, and I thought, I'm not doing this anymore, so I bought a dedicated laser and dedicated my CNC to milling operations. And by the way, Lightburn created new software, brand new and just released, that allows you to run one of these desktop CNC machines. And it's the design, or the design environment, is very similar to Lightburn software. If you have a desktop mill, you might want to look up MillMage, MILLMAGE. That's the brand new software, just came out. And for being a beta tester for MillMage and talking fast and being helpful on the forum, I got a 5-year pro license for MillMage at no cost. So sometimes it pays to play nice. File formats, Lightburn will import just about any format, graphic format you can use. DXF, SVG, JPEG, PDF, AI, and I don't know, there's a bunch of them. There's about 15 or 20 different formats you can import a file in, and then use it, process it, and turn it into a laser project. I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to show you in a few minutes, Lightburn, how it actually works. Oops. 2 lasers at the same time. If you have a USB connection, you need 2 separate USB ports. And I found out using one of these little expander boxes, switch boxes for USB, these things are not fully USB 2.0 or 3.0 compliant. When I turned the switch off, switch the output off, it did not disconnect the laser. The laser was still connected, it had a power to it. So you'll need separate components. I believe a powered USB hub will do that for you. It will separate it, so you could put 2 lasers on a powered USB hub and plug it into one USB port, but I haven't tried that. I ended up putting in a switch right here on the front panel I wired up and made myself, and it's a USB 5-wire or 5-wire connection, USB in, USB out, and I switch from one or the other or middle off. So I use that to switch between the lasers. I've never had the opportunity where I needed to run 2 lasers at the same time. Yeah, this is probably the most important thing of this whole presentation. Laser is not a toy. They sell them like they're toys, they make them look like they're toys, but they are not. A laser can burn your house down. It can blind you. One of the favorite sayings is, do not stare at laser with remaining eye. You can see my laser, my 10-watt laser, has a .06 beam diameter at the focal point. So it'll give you an idea how much precision you can get from these things. Now, the bonus here is you can find other uses for a laser. I've bought one of these little popcorn poppers. I'm a popcorn fanatic or junkie or whatever. And it has holes in the tops. It's where you're supposed to put the butter so it'll drip down into the popcorn. I put the butter in there and cook the popcorn with the butter. But even with oil, when that thing first starts popping, it's shooting these hot butter up, or molten butter or oil out of these little holes in the top. And I said, I can't have this, because it was getting all over everything and burning my tummy, because I'm making popcorn with no shirt on. So I made myself, with my laser, a popcorn splatter shield. So you can find other uses for this laser besides ham radio applications around the house. I will say one thing: if you do buy a laser, I recommend you do not buy anything less than a 10-watt laser. You can buy a cheap 5-watt laser for about $120 now. Get up into the $200 or $250 range, I believe, with a 5-watt laser. A 10-watt. But I recommend, no matter what brand, except TECHCON, stay away from them completely. But buy at least a 10-watt. You can do stuff with a 5-watt, but a 10-watt you can do a lot more stuff because you have the power to do it. And that's the end of my presentation. Now let's do just a quick view of Lightburn. Thank you. Thank you very much. Try and find something here that's okay. This is the Lightburn software. This grid area is the work area of my laser. This is determined. You set up parameters. You tell the Lightburn how big your machine is, and also it reads parameters from your machine, so it knows stuff that you don't have to worry about. Now, what I do here is I have two types of clock faces. One here is a cutout, and let me. Do a quick copy. And what I did here was not a copy, but a Control D, which makes a copy of it. Now I'm going to tell it to go into the corner, because I work off of absolute coordinates, and the home position is the 0, 0 position. Lightburn works in a quadrant 1 of graph, which is all moves are plus. Now, I've got this selected, and you can do a preview. Let me. Now what I'm going to do is click on play. The preview is one of the best features of Lightburn. You can actually see where your laser is going to go, what order, and what it's doing. Now this case is doing just cutouts, but you could do also images, and it'll do images in a raster form, like back and forth, just like a television sweeps. And we can speed it up, make it zoom on around. I'm going to pause it for a second. Now I'm going to turn on show traversal moves. Now it's going to show the moves. You see the red lines? Those are the lines it's making as it, or that's the laser turned off travel. So you can actually see how you get from one part to another. Now I do this one with my 40-watt laser. This is 1/4 inch MDF, which you can buy at the hardware store. And I make these for some lady, and she takes and puts does resin art, puts ocean scenes and different things on them, and then puts a clock mechanism on them and sells them. Anything else you want to, well, we got 3 minutes left. Anything you want to see me do with light burn? Okay, I'll show you something. You can draw squares or rectangles or squares. Draw circles or ovals, ellipses, and so on. There was a 5-point star, but I want a 6-point star, right? So I go in here and I just click on it. Okay, how about a 10-point star? Or you need something with 11-point star. Try calculating that with your little calculator. Oh, I need it big. Let's see. The red square here on the screen. Let me get this guy out of here. That red square is 11.9 by 11.9. I get 12 by 12 plywood in stacks, orders of like 25 or so. And I want to center that in that square. So I'll come up here and hit the little center button. Boom, it's centered. Now hopefully you're beginning to see that for designing stuff, this software is the cat's meow of software. It's Lightburn came out with Milme software that uses basically the same GUI or interface, and people went nuts over it. People that don't even use Lightburn, they said, wow, that is so easy compared to all the other stuff out there. And Lightburn is dramatically cheaper than the other stuff like VCarve by Vectric and some of the other guys. I'm constantly having to readjust everything because this is set up where this screen goes black, and I do it on a 27-inch monitor. That's what I work with at home. So I have to move everything around because it's set up for that bigger monitor. Now, let's say, well, that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want everybody to go dark, so let's take this guy, put him on a different layer, and now do a fill. So now when I do this, or run this, it's going to look like that. As you can see, it's doing a raster mode scan here. You can also see the red lines, but let's turn those off. Okay, enough of that. Let's say, well, that was really coarse looking. That's because it's 8.5 lines per inch. I've got a laser that does like 1/1000th of an inch line, and I'm making those lines that way. Let's make this thing for a 10-watt diode laser. It's typically 318 lines per inch. So let's change that to 318, which is also typically a 0.08 interval. Now let's see what it looks like. That's much better. Okay, that's kind of slow. I want to speed this up. I'm only right now running 180 millimeters per minute. Okay, diode lasers, they prefer you work in millimeters per minute or inches per minute. And this is really, really slow. That would probably burn all the way through the board. Typically, if I wanted to mark this on a piece of wood, I would use 3,000 millimeters per minute and a max power of about 30%, give or take a little. This is just based on experience. So let's see how it runs now. Yeah, now at least it won't take forever. Well, I take that back. Look at the total estimated time right here. 2 hours and 49 minutes. So I'm going to drop my lines per inch down, spread them out, because I'm burning wood, and if burnt wood next to burnt wood, you're going to have overlap. So you can spread those lines out a little bit. And also, this is a big guy, so let's take it and shrink it down, because I don't want to do a great big board. I just want a little thing I can give to the kids to throw at each other, like ninja stars. And you see now it's 28 minutes to cover that same time. Now you can zoom in, you can see the individual lines, but if you zoom down to full size, actual size, that's what it's going to look like on a piece of wood. This is actually bigger than it would burn in that drawing, I think. All right. Any questions about light burn or using your laser or buying laser? And I recommend too, if you buy one, buy it through Amazon, because Amazon has the world's best return policy. If you have trouble with it that don't work, and manufacturer products always have a number of defects, you can easily send it back, stick it in a box, send it back, and get another one to replace it. Or you find out you don't like that brand, then you can take and send it back and get a different brand. All three of my lasers are SculpFun, SculpFun lasers. I found them to be pretty much plug and play and work with light burn with no hassle. Any questions? Oh, we got 4 seconds of question time. Okay, no questions.